Hey, what is up everyone? I'm Silver the Hedgehog here, and I'm from the likes of the Murksy Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more of Let's Play of Rayman, Raving Rabbids for the Nintendo Wii / PlayStation 2 / Xbox 360 if you want to count as in a party game rather than a 2D side-scrolling platformer unlike the Game Boy Advance as well as the DS counterparts. So, yeah, last time, I forgot to mention about the PC Steam version as well, at least if you want to include that. So, anyway, last time we have managed to win through the actual 5 selections of minigames within the first ever day of the forms of the entirety of the single player experience, or story mode and otherwise. And today, we're about to begin with the forms of the second day. With all that in mind, though, that we might actually go for the exact same amount of... Well, we're mostly able to come across into a different amount of mini-games. Well, usually we can have to replay through the actual bits itself multiple times. Like, either way, though, we'll get into those whenever we dive right in, so... And by the way, if you ever played the Wii version's loading times, as you can clearly see on screen, all it gets is just basically just a pink spiral segments, as you can see right there. Although, fundamentally speaking, it also happens on the PlayStation 2 version. But I don't know about the PC version though, because I haven't really looked on that much in terms of a PC version. But you know, with how the fact that the 360 or the Xbox 360 version, I should say, does manage to offer us unique loading screens. So, alright, so bunnies never close doors. Block them from the toilets for about 50 seconds. So we need to aim with the Wii remote and then just close the door by flicking the actual nunchuck. So, yeah, that seems a little bit obvious for that point, doesn't it? With these motion controls in mind. So, yeah. Okay, so if you couldn't tell already, I'm actually doing a little bit of a jump cut for this point there. Because, oh my god, playing this minigame with the Wii Remote's motion controls, it just feels kind of difficult. Like, literally, almost as quite as difficult as it seems. Because basically all we need to do is in these particular objectives, as you can clearly tell, obviously we need to reach for about 50 seconds nonetheless. But here's the thing though, is the fact that you have to be extremely dead on with the actual timing and what have you, so just in case you don't get the minigame is over kind of mentality, and also at the same time that, well, if you manage to able to get one screw up worth noting for, you have to go all the way back to the beginning of that time length again. So either way, whenever I managed to the first time playing this minigame on the Wii version, it took me about, I would say, at this point in time, if you can clearly tell, this is attempt number 10, which I can't even believe I messed things up for about 9 set of times. Because really, because of how the fact that because you need to be so fast and quick, even though my reflexibility wasn't nearly as fast as Sonic and Shadow's reflexes, I will admit though right away. But either way though, because I'm just capable of psychic powers and stuff like that. But that's not how it is to me. So either way though, I'll definitely need to get a lot of practice on flicking the nunchuck syndrome, because, well, either way though, unlike the sequels for that matter, well, usually it just managed to fix these issues, like, for instance, likely, just deal with the Wii modes for almost everything. So, anyways, the next minigame here is Bunnies Can't Jump. So, jump in the time to earn about 2,000 points. If you jump at the very last moment, you win extra points. So, think of like a jump rope minigame from the likes of Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz or something like that. Even Jump Rope from Mario Party 8, except the fact that this game came out before Mario Party 8. Aside from everything else though, I think this game did first came out exactly the same year as when Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz did first came out on the Wii. So, yeah, that's as far as I've noticing this already. So, anyways though, to this particular point, as you can see for this minigame, is pretty basic and simple. So you have to time your jumps or what have you, but then if you somehow manage to get hit by the chains, as you can see for that jump rope, then the minigame itself is over. So, but then again though, you have to aim for about 2,000 points in order to actually just to progress. So, but then again, as I mentioned this before already, in order to actually get to the forms of the shooting range minigame, is the fact that you have to complete for about 3 set of mini-games. You don't have to deal with them all though, so it's entirely up to you, as I said before. So that way you can able to actually just to realize that you would able to actually breeze for this game quite literally quick. Well, depending on the forms of how many times you failed. Like I just managed to fail quite a few times off screen on the first minigame on day 2. So carrots are attracted to carrot juice. So basically we need to make it until 1 minute and 20 seconds and points the Wii remote at the screen and flick the nunchuck to able to spew out the carrot juice. So I'm not sure that in the other versions, most notably with the PlayStation 2 version as well as the Xbox 360 version's differences between the control scheme and mind. But what I do know is the fact that you can, well, once again, flick the nunchuck in order to actually just get the orange, well, carrot juice specifically to able to actually just, well, just get rid of those Rabbids in the actual scuba diving. So, yeah, that's far from the case though, regrettably. So, yeah, a few things I want to explain about this actually is the fact that recently, that today's day is the forms of the 9th of February today in 2020. So that means we've only got about 5 more days left until the Sonic movie 2020 will be releasing. And I suppose that Daffy, or Piglet for that matter, we're able to talk more about it until whenever we get to that specific day on the 14th of February. Well, to be more specifically, I think I would say Daffy, he's going to be most likely to talk about it. But either way though, that's as far from the case regrettably when it comes to that. Oh jeez Louise, it's going to get a little bit more hectic at this point, especially we've almost at the minute, well we're at the minute right now. Now we need to aim for 20 seconds left before we're able to pass this test, so hopefully that should be the case, mind you. So either way though, when you fill it up with the, like each and every single goggles, as you can see right there, then you have to mainly focus on others now. So either way, I think we've now passed the time, so either way though, I think we should probably end the minigame off by simply letting those whole bunch of Rabbids just manage to gather it all around, and then, boom, we actually just managed able to finish the minigame and become a victor. Well, at least in terms of like, victoriously, glorious. I don't know how do I pronounce that very well, so anyway, so now we're done with 3 set of minigames as you can tell, and now we can access to the actual shooting range kind of minigame. But of course, before we get into that, we'll go ahead and tackle for the forms of the dancing minigame or what have you. So just in case, I want to show you guys every single minigames how this game offers us to. So either way, that's pretty much all I can say about this for the most part though, honestly, because you have to do that multiple times until, let's just say 15 times throughout the whole entire game, spoiler warning. So, bunnies love disco dancing, so we need to do exactly the same objective as before, but now, excuse me, but now we need to able to deal with the forms of a different song this time. So even then though, that, well, depending of what songs we're going to be coming across into, specifically in the different days and beyond, it gets a little bit more progressively difficult for likely two things. One is, of course, you need to be super accurate with timing and stuff, and 2 is that, again, with my nunchuck issue, seems to able to go on a little bit more, you know, bonkers most of the time. So either way though, hopefully I'll try my best if I can able to do this kind of ways. So yeah, that might be seems a little bit more logical aside from that. So yeah, aside from everything else though, is the fact that we're actually pretty excited about the fact that the Sonic the Hedgehog 2, you know, with the forms of the Sega Ages lineup for the Nintendo Switch, Sega Ages Sonic the Hedgehog 2 got its release date, which is not that far from here, I don't think, which is going to be releasing until 20th of February, which is not that far. So either way though, then in addition to able to having ourselves, well, the actual release date, and its post contents they actually managed to include with the Sega Ages version of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, even though I might generally try to get it at some point, but not now though, because there are some other Switch games I have to mainly focusing on for not only from my own time, but also just trying to able to compromise of how Piglet is going to be still carry on continuing with Yoshi's Crafted World recently. So, but that being said though, the amount of content they got for Sega Ages Sonic 2 is now quite expensive actually, although they still managed to go themselves the ring attack mode, and also same applies for the drop dash ability from the likes of Sonic Mania, as well as Sega Age's Sonic 1 makes its return, which I'm very glad they kept, and also the actual playable Knuckles in Sonic 2 in the actual Nintendo Switch console. So pretty cool though, but I've already got myself Knuckles in Sonic 2 on the Xbox Live Arcade version. Well, assuming if I was hopefully trying to unlock that on my, you know, Sonic Mega Collection stuff, but the bad thing about that is the fact that you have to replay the games multiple times, like up to 50 times in order to unlock them. I mean, seriously, that unlockable system just gets a little bit more ridiculous at points, but still, can't deny by that. I really don't think I can able to blame on that specific system. It's just there for the sake of replayability, with the comes of compilations and stuff, but either way though, that's all I can really say about that. So yeah, pretty looking forward to able to actually just to try out you know, the Sega Age's version of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Nintendo Switch, and this time you can actually take it on the go. Well, technically on the Sonic Classic Collection does that as well on the Nintendo DS, despite with the actual, not a perfect emulation by any means, but it's just a matter of time for the actual emphasis on that. So, as you can see, we've now got ourselves our new costume for ourselves, which I think I might actually start to wear that at some point during, I would say in day 4, because for the sake of this video, especially noticeable for the next few videos also, oh yeah, we got ourselves bunnies don't like being disturbed on holiday. So basically the exact same goal is same applies for the forms of the first time around we do this, but except now it takes place in a different environment, which, well, for the first time around we did done is in a Western themed you know, cowboy kind of environment, and now it takes place on a holiday vacation. So either way, basically just like before, we need to take down all kinds of Rabbids, invasion, and stuff like that. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about the forms of the score system, as you can see on this minigame. Basically, if you're trying to able to utilize, well, usually as you can see on screen, you can only just manage to able to fire 5 plungers at a time, so either way, and if you, the more you do with the forms of the shooting aiming in a chain reaction, you can able to get yourselves the perfect rating, depending on how the fact that you can able to take down most of the Rabbids most of the time. So even though it's hard to explain about this particular system if I were you, because either way though, it has been a very long time since I actually researched upon this particular Let's Plays of, you know, this game in particular. Some people might actually play through, you know, the 360 version a bit more, probably because of how the fact that, well, unlike the Wii version, that between the PlayStation 2 version and the Xbox 360 version, does offer us a controller to play the game. Well, assuming on the Xbox 360 version, it does offer us an exclusive peripheral, as I mentioned this earlier since yesterday, which appears to be Xbox Live Vision camera. But unfortunately for me though, I don't have one of those, and also I didn't get a chance to able to have that version because, well, aside from having achievements, challenges and stuff like that on the 360 version, but I will say that I'm probably not going to get the PS2 version, probably because of how the fact that, well, you know, with the actual running minigame, which is of course, bunnies don't give gifts and stuff like that for that minigame, where you have to run all the way to the finish line. I think that minigame got screwed over on the PS2 version because you have to utilize the analog sticks to run, as opposed to the flawless Wii version that you can simply waggle the Wii remote and the nunchuck together, well, usually one at a time. And then I think in the forms of the Xbox 360 version, I'm presuming you can only utilize the triggers or the bumpers, even though I haven't really looked upon that much in terms of the Xbox 360 version, aside from, you know, the different loading screens and stuff like that. Although some people seem to complain about the forms of how the fact that I've noticed that the loading screens on the Xbox 360 version, not only does it drag on at points, but it also gets a little bit repetitive at one point, which I'm only just going to show you guys that ever since on the first part of this this particular Let's Play. Only for just about for at least once, just because you might find it a little bit more repetitive once in a while though. But either way though, I honestly don't mind them too much, but it just kind of feels a little bit more repetitive if you're trying to go through next set of mini games worth noting for, especially when you're trying to go through likely in a story mode. So Yeah, that's far from the case, regrettably though, so either way though, we're just able to continue things off at this point. And then we need to take down these, the grey versions of the actual Rabbids themselves. So hopefully we're able to, God forbid, trying to able to aim for the headshot, which hopefully that'll be the case, so... And then also another thing I'd like to talk about is the fact that when it comes to Super Smash Flash 2 for the actual computer game, I'm happy to say is the fact that the beta 1.2 is actually got its release date too, which I think is also not that far from here. And what's funny is the fact that it's going to be releasing on exactly the same day as not only Valentine's Day, but also it's going to be releasing on exactly the same day as in Sonic the Hedgehog movie is going to be releasing for that too, which appears to be the actual release date for Beta 1.2 for Super Smash Flash 2, which I'm super excited about, and it's going to be releasing on the 14th of February, so either way, not that long, as well as I mentioned this before, and I'm really looking forward to able to actually just to try out the newer version of Super Smash Flash 2. If I can, assuming I can definitely can't wait to try out some new fighters like, well, obviously Lucario, and also Ryu, and even Simon Belmont, Crystal, Rayman, and, well, speaking of Rayman, I'm going to be playing Rayman game right about now. And speaking of Rayman, he's actually going to be shown on screen right here. So it's a perfect opportunity we can able to actually just to talk about this. And finally, perhaps notably, finally get a chance to play as Waluigi for the first time ever in the Super Smash, well, I would say it's like a fan-made game more than the forms of the actual main series at this point. But I'm still managed to be super hyped about it, especially I can able to play the game all the time on my computer in case if I get bored. But either way though, that's as far from the case as far as I like to talk about that. So, anyways folks, we managed to rescue the baby glow box and also we got ourselves a second plunger. And that concludes day 2. And immediately after, we're now on to day 3, which we can't do anything in a moment, apart from I was originally trying to able to wear a new costume and stuff like that on day 3, but I've decided to save it up until likely, well, I'll discuss more on that later, whenever this particular video is about to be finished by that time. So either way, now let's move on to the next set of mini-games on Journey Forms of Story Mode. So either way, things can get a little bit more differently compared to the forms of how it did on, you know, during the likes of in the first day, as well as the forms of the second day. So either way though, let's just go from left all the way to the right, just like before. So either way though, let's get to it with this first minigame of this particular day. So I wonder what that particular minigame we're going to be playing through, I wonder. Which appears to be Bunnies Can't Fly. Launch Super Bunny at least for about 120 meters. So that's going to be quite tough, regrettably, because either way, I know this generally is my first time playing for this though, so either way though, basically in this minigame is that, well, you know, it's how to flick the Wii remote to the nunchuck one at a time, just like the forms of how it does it in, well, to be more specifically, in the first ever minigame in this entire game. So anyways, let's go ahead and just, well, pump the actual cards, and hopefully we would launch the actual Super Bunny right here. Even though it kind of reminds me of Superman for some reason, except, well, it's actually a rabbit more than just the actual human. But unfortunately for me, I seem to be able to mess things up because I have to, like, be super fast rather than just on the a medium speed type. So let's just go ahead and try this again, and hopefully that should work. At least I hope so anyway. Alright, there we go. At least we managed to reach to 120.82, so that's fine by me. And I think fundamentally though, I suppose another thing I'd like to discuss upon is the fact that, well, I actually did manage to pick up myself the forms of the custom-made Nintendo 64 cases by my own time, specifically the Universal game cases, which I will say, I was super impressed about that, especially that I can no longer have to worry about game my Nintendo 64 cartridges gets dusty and stuff like that. Although, yeah, that's as far as I can say about it. So bunnies don't use toothpaste, so basically keep the worms for about a minute or so. So either way, we need to aim with the Wii remote with, just obviously the Wii remote, and press A, and then just give it a little bit of a pull out where you simply just jank the actual Wii remote back at, or I don't know. I honestly do not know if I can able to read these instructions very well, but I have to admit though right away that all you have to do is basically in this minigame is that we need to pull out each of those worms within 4 of these holes for, 4 Rabbids' teeth. So either way, looks kind of depressing looking with that specific look, even though this is generally because of how the fact that, well, basically we need to take down all of these worms out at the actual teeth itself. However though, the longer you wait for it, especially noticeable if you let these worms just trying to go in a greedy look and just dive right back into the teeth itself, the actual rabbit's teeth will decide to able to get damaged. So yeah, which just kind of feels likely just, well, sadistic and stuff like that. I don't know how do I truly explain about this, because either way though, it kind of feels a little bit more of a painful dentist appointment process going. So yeah, that might be something a little bit more weird to say that. So now of course we reached to about a minute limit now, so either way though, there's nothing to worry about this for this point right there, apart from, well, we might as well accidentally destroyed or let the worms just destroy one of the rabbit's tooth. But that's fine because we managed to reach the goal. Which, unlike the forms of how it does it in Rayman Raving Rabbids 2, and especially notable with the forms of TV Party, are basically about the fact that, well, it doesn't matter of how the fact that you can able to actually win or lose on these kinds of mini-games, although fundamentally speaking, with these objective system on this particular game, it kind of reminds me of Mario Party 1 Minigame Island, as well as Mario Party 2 Minigame Coaster, where you have to deal with those specific objectives. Oh yeah, and also the same applies for Super Mario Party as well, from the challenge mode. So, bunnies are slow to react, so basically we need to get the ball into the actual ending point of this course, and then basically we need to make it there for about, I would say less than 30 seconds or something like that. I think this might be the case or something like that. I really honestly do not know. So yeah, basically in this particular minigame, as you can see, we need to guide the ball to the actual maze, and if you manage to make it to the end, well, that's it. It's like a lap width kind of minigame like this, especially because, as you can clearly see, although I could take the actual alternative pathway, but of course the actual gate itself has actually been blocked. So naturally speaking, we need to be very careful here, especially you really don't want to get the ball into the holes, so just in case you might as well go back all the way to the beginning if you mess things up. So luckily we reached about less than 30 seconds, then obviously we did manage to win the minigame, of course. Or just complete it, whatever you want to decide to pronounce that. Alright, so obviously we've now completed those 3 minigames out of the way, and of course we're able to actually access to the big door on the center of the arena. So, well, to be more specifically, the one on the middle are selections of doors, as far as I'm aware. And yeah, and every time you complete the minigame, you always have to go for these little cinematics, as you can see right there. And not only that, you know, with the actual, the entrance to the minigame, the doors themselves has been darkened now. So because of that, you can no longer revisit that minigame, assuming if you're able to actually go through another option in particular. But of course I'm going to be going this in a 100% run, so either way, bunnies just want to have fun. So basically the entire objective is pretty much exactly the same, except now with, of course, a new song. So either way, but usually for me, I'm going to be talking over for these particular song right there, because I really refuse to able to give myself a copyright claims or anything like that, despite it was actually a little bit more pop culture basically. So either way, and looks like I think I get the horrible feeling I might actually mess up, so let's try this again. Dang it, nunchucks, why did you betray me so much after this good timing and what have you, but sometimes my nunchuck doesn't seem to go a little bit more aged every now and then, especially after owning the actual Nintendo Wii back in during the forms of likely almost about 13 years ago now, so either way, that might be seems a little bit more observational, something like that, when it comes to that, so... But I digress. So, I guess that's as far as this point in time, folks, there's not much else I can talk about. At least I did actually mention about quite exciting things for the most part, though, so at least that's the only good thing about it. So, either way, and aside from everything else, though, likely with the forms of Nintendo Directs or something like that in the future, we're really hoping that will be the case during next week, because, well, obviously we've almost there to the middle portion of February. Now, aside from that, though, I think it might actually do exactly the same thing as of how it does it in last year, because normally we got ourselves the 13th of February's Nintendo Directs last year, and then that was alright. I mean, usually the only exciting things for me, though, is of course Yoshi's Crafted World, Super Mario Maker 2 announcement, and even the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake announcement, and heck, the Captain Toad Treasure Tracker DLC, specifically the Switch version, because, well, I can assure you, because of how the fact that the 3DS itself, well, usually in terms of Mario games, they've now stopped productioning with those Mario games for the 3DS stuff now, because due to Bowser's Inside Story remake didn't sell well, so either way, I think we already know about this at this point, especially noticeable how I felt so sorry with Alpha Dream Company just now becomes bankrupted, so... But I don't know, we'll find out eventually when it comes to the forms of E3 2020, but then again though, we have to wait and see what happens during that time, so yeah, you most likely get the idea for that solution for that, so... Anyways though, so I think, for the most part, we are done with this particular dancing sequence, even though I would have wished I was going to do this on one attempt specifically, but because of my controls just seems to be messing up at points, mainly with my, you know, dead old nunchuck, as far as I'm aware. Thankfully, it doesn't interrupt me when if I disconnect the nunchuck, luckily, unlike the forms of, specifically Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2 and stuff like that, but... usually because of how the fact that, oh, I get myself my next new song. So either way, pretty cool stuff, and especially noticeable how the fact that, well, I can listen to that at any point. Well, not necessarily right now, just because I don't want to get caught with the actual copyright claims, so, you know. And on to the final minigame on day 3, and this is actually a different minigame for once, which appears to be bunnies like a good race on the beach. So basically, we need to... well, speed like a pro, and then finish the actual entire race within a minute and 5 seconds. So this is basically, it's like a race syndrome. So either way, we need to steer with the control stick on the nunchuck, and then you just simply just take a run with the B button. And I think you can able to utilize the Wii remote or something like that to utilize with the actual special boost and stuff like that. So either way, though, we're able to actually just leave it up to that. So... and then obviously we need to aim for, I would say you need to aim for first place within each and every single races, I'm presuming for this matter though, because although unfortunately for me though, is the fact that I have to deal with the actual, the nunchuck that I've been had for a very, very long time, as I said earlier. So either way though, we'll try our best if we're able to do it on the first attempt, but if not, then I can just simply just reset the actual minigame and just start all over again. So looks like so far we're actually doing pretty good, well, for the most part, apart from the fact that I just keep on getting bumped by certain obstacles, likely plum trees, as well as some very, very tight curves you have to able to drift along with. I'm not sure if you can able to actually brake or something like that to able to make things a little bit easier. I get a horrible feeling I'm probably not going to catch up because, well, if I just seriously get some very, very bad curved turnings and stuff, especially these plum trees keeps getting my way, then I was able to restart that, so... oh well, it's not that big of a deal though, because this particular racing minigame is actually pretty short, if you know the skills correctly, so... but anyways, let's try this again, and hopefully we'll aim for number 1. I think the best strategy for this is the fact that I suggest you utilize the actual speed boost every time you get into that, the second curve, not the actual first curve, but specifically this curve right there. Besides the actual Rabbids themselves, normally goes on a normal route. So basically, if you're trying to take some nice little shortcuts, you know, it kind of reminds me of Diddy Kong Racing with, you know, with the actual, the beach-looking stages or something like that. That way you can able to utilize the drift and stuff like that, so you can able to take some very cool shortcuts or quicker routes to take. But even then, it's kind of the same thing from here. Oh no, why, Nunchuck, why? Why are you doing this to me? I really need to fix this because, well, especially it really doesn't help about the fact that specifically with the movement analog controls, it just really gets in my way sometimes. Even I have to be super accurate with the nunchuck controls in mind. And unlike the actual shooting range minigames, there wasn't any baby glow box to save, so naturally speaking we need to claim first place within the actual race tracks themselves. So yeah, it seems a little bit different from the likes of the previous 2 games for sure, or the previous 2 days I should say. So either way, I think that pretty much takes care of day 3 or segment number 3 when it comes to those 5 selections of minigames, and here's the 3rd plunger. So I guess we're now moving on to the forms of day 4 or segment number 4, but then again, no, we're not going to do it right now because the video's gone long enough. Well then, looks like Rayman come across as his plan all along. So basically, although I'm probably not going to discuss on this right now because I'm afraid to tell you for this point, guys, we got the endings up here. So join me next time when Let's Play Rayman Raving Rabbids for the Nintendo Wii. It's the fact that we're going to be hit on to day 4 all the way up to day 5 when it comes to story mode in mind. However, I'm going to take a 2 weeks break. So either end because, you know, you'll find out. So see you guys in 2 weeks time.